Have you ever felt like the world around you is too noisy, too chaotic, too full of distractions? Have you ever sensed that your deepest growth happens when you step away from the crowd and embrace solitude? If so, you are not alone. The path of the chosen one is not an easy one. It requires separation, isolation, and deep introspection. But in this solitude, something extraordinary happens. Supernatural abilities begin to awaken. These are not just mystical gifts. They are powerful mental, emotional, and energetic shifts that set the chosen apart from the rest of the world. The ones who walk alone walk the farthest. While the crowd seeks comfort, the chosen ones carve paths through the impossible. Most people spend their lives drowning in noise, distracted, controlled, asleep. But you've felt it, haven't you? That pull away from the herd, the cold silence of being different. Isolation isn't just something you endure. It's the battlefield where chosen ones are forged. I learned this the hard way. One day, everything I thought was mine, people, security, comfort, was ripped away. But it wasn't the loss that burned the most. It was the loneliness. No allies, no support. Just me, staring into the abyss, waiting for it to swallow me whole. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Loneliness doesn't break the chosen. It builds them. While others run from silence, we embrace it. While they seek validation, we sharpen ourselves in the dark. This is where the weak are separated from the strong. Because in solitude, something terrifying happens. You awaken. Your mind clears. Your instincts sharpen. You start seeing what others are blind to. And the worst part for them? They can't stop it. They can't control what they don't understand. That's why your very existence haunts your enemies. They fear what they can't manipulate. They hate that you don't need them. They watch from the shadows, confused, threatened, powerless, because nothing terrifies the ordinary more than someone who has mastered themselves. And when you step into your power, the same people who looked down on you will start watching in silence, wondering how the hell you survived what should have destroyed you. They'll sense the shift, the way you move differently, the way you see through them, the way you no longer react the way they expect. You are not alone in this. You are part of the rare few who don't just exist, but evolve. The ones who embrace the darkness and walk out of it stronger than ever. So, if you've been feeling different, if you've noticed a shift within you, if you've found yourself walking a path that few understand, this message is for you. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll know exactly why you've been chosen. And today, I'm about to reveal something that will hit you harder than anything you've heard before. These are the 5 supernatural powers that set the chosen ones apart from 80% of the world. Powers that make you unstoppable. But before we begin, if you feel the weight of solitude, if you've sensed that you were never meant to blend in with the 80%, then this is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a 77 in the comments if you're ready to transform isolation into unstoppable power. And trust me, if you truly are one of the chosen, you won't be able to look away. Every second of this will pull you in, hitting deeper than you expect. Now, let's get into it, step by step. By the end, you won't see yourself the same way again. Power number 1, the ironclad mind. When pressure rises, the chosen stay unshaken. They watch, waiting for you to break. But the problem is, you don't. The world is built to break you, to get under your skin, to pull you into the storm of emotions that drowns 80% of people. They react, they explode, they crumble under pressure, but not you. You've been through the fire, and instead of burning, you hardened. Instead of breaking, you became something they can't understand, unshaken, unreadable, untouchable, and that haunts them. Because nothing terrifies the weak more than someone who refuses to be controlled by their emotions. They call you cold. They say you feel nothing. But what they don't know is that behind that quiet, behind that stillness, is a mind that has fought every war imaginable and won. Most people can't stand silence. They drown it in noise, distractions, and meaningless conversations. They run from it, because if they sit alone with their thoughts for too long, they'll have to face who they really are. But you sat in that silence. You stared into the abyss, and when it stared back, you didn't flinch, because in solitude, the weak panic, but the chosen sharpen. This is your training ground. This is where weakness dies and control is born. The battlefield isn't out there. It's inside your mind, and you've mastered it. You've learned the one skill that makes you untouchable. You control yourself when others cannot. People will try to push your buttons. They'll try to get a reaction. Because if they can control how you respond, they own you. But when they look into your eyes and see nothing but calm precision, when their words and actions bounce off you like pebbles hitting steel, that's when fear creeps into them. Because suddenly, they realize they have no power over you. You've seen it before. In arguments, when everyone else is heated, you stay silent, calculating, seeing 10 steps ahead. In chaos, when others crumble, you stand still, observing, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, or walk away. And the best part, they never see it coming. The mind of a chosen one is like an ice-capped mountain. On the surface, calm, still, unmovable, but beneath, a force of nature waiting to be unleashed. This isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about controlling them before they control you. You feel everything, the pain, the betrayal, the rage, but you've trained yourself to channel it, refine it, turn it into power instead of weakness. And that makes you dangerous, because when most people react, you calculate. When they get emotional, you stay composed. When they let the world pull them in every direction, you remain centered. They can't break you. They can't read you. And that scares them more than anything. The greatest warriors, the strongest leaders, the most unshakable minds in history, they all had one thing in common. They knew that control over the world starts with control over the self. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you one of the few. And the rest? They'll never understand how much power that truly gives you. Now, let's keep going, because what comes next? It's even more dangerous. Number 2, the vision beyond sight, seeing what others cannot. One of the most profound powers of the chosen ones is their ability to see beyond what is presented to them. While most people are trapped in the illusion of the material world, believing only what their eyes can perceive, chosen ones possess an inner vision, an intuitive knowing that allows them to see the truth hidden beneath the surface. This is why you often feel like you're living in a different reality than everyone else. You see the manipulation in the media, the hidden motives behind people's actions, and the deeper meaning behind events that others dismiss as random. You recognize patterns, connections, and synchronicities that most people are blind to. And this isn't just about being woke. It's about seeing the spiritual blueprint behind the physical world. 80% live in a state of unconscious reaction. They follow trends, believe lies, and operate solely on what is in front of them. But you look beyond. You see people's true energy, even when they're wearing a mask. You sense when someone is lying, when something isn't right, or when a situation is about to shift before it even happens. And here's what most don't understand. This ability isn't something you learned. It was something you remembered. You were born with this vision, but the world tried to blind you, tried to make you doubt your own knowing. Yet, no matter how much they tried to convince you that you were imagining things, your intuition only grew stronger. That's why people come to you for advice, even if they don't always listen. They sense that you see what they cannot. And it's also why some people fear you. Because when you see beyond the illusion, you cannot be deceived, controlled, or manipulated like the rest. You are the one who reveals the truth, whether people are ready for it or not. But here's the part that truly separates the chosen from the rest. Not only do you see beyond this reality, you also see into the future. You may not realize it, but every time you get a strong gut feeling about something that later turns out to be true, or when you sense an opportunity before it arrives, you are tapping into the timelines of reality itself. And that brings us to your next extraordinary power, one that is directly connected to this vision. Number 3, the power of divine timing. Knowing when to move. Most people live their lives trying to control time, forcing things to happen, chasing success, rushing relationships, and pushing against the natural flow of the universe. But the chosen ones? They move differently. They understand the sacred power of divine timing. This is why you don't operate on society's schedule. You may have felt like an outsider because you never followed the conventional path. While others rushed into things, jobs, relationships, decisions, you waited. You listened. You moved only when you felt the internal confirmation, even when everyone else thought you were hesitating or wasting time. But here's the truth. You were never late. You were aligning. This power is what allows chosen ones to manifest things in ways that seem impossible to others. Because while the world teaches people to chase, you have learned to attract. You don't force doors open. You wait for the right one to unlock effortlessly. You don't beg for opportunities. You position yourself so that they find you. And here's where it gets even deeper. You've probably experienced moments in your life where things seemed to pause, like nothing was happening. It may have felt like delays, setbacks, or even rejections. But in reality, those weren't obstacles. They were divine positioning. The universe was keeping you from moving too soon, from stepping into something before you were truly ready. Think about the times you almost settled for less, the times you wanted something badly, but it didn't work out, only to realize later that you were being protected. Those were moments of divine timing in action. This is why chosen ones often appear to have a miraculous path. Things may seem slow, but when the time is right, everything aligns with breathtaking speed. You don't grind mindlessly like the rest of the world. You flow. And that's why, when others burn out from chasing what was never meant for them, you walk into your blessings effortlessly. The world calls it luck. But you know better. This is divine orchestration. And when you learn to fully trust this power, you become unstoppable. And now that you understand the first 3 extraordinary powers you've been gifted, let's talk about the final 2. The ones that make you truly untouchable in this world. Most people fear pain. They avoid it, numb it, or let it break them. But the chosen ones? They transform it. They take every ounce of suffering, every betrayal, every heartbreak, and forge it into something indestructible. This is the power that sets you apart, the ability to turn wounds into wisdom and obstacles into stepping stones. pain is the one force that reveals who people truly are. The 80% collapse under it, letting setbacks define them. They complain, they give up, they let life dictate their worth. But not you. You don't just endure pain, you alchemize it. Every hardship, every dark moment, every loss, these things didn't destroy you. They sharpened you. While others let pain weaken them, you used it to fuel your transformation. Think back to your hardest moments. The times when you felt like you had nothing left, when it seemed like life had taken everything from you. But look at you now. You survived. Not just survived. You became something stronger, something more dangerous. That's the difference between the chosen and the rest. You don't fear the fire, because you are the fire. And here's the part that makes others uncomfortable. They don't understand how you keep going. They thought you'd break. They were waiting for you to crumble, to fall apart. But every time they counted you out, you came back stronger. Every time they tried to shut you down, you rose even higher. It confuses them. It threatens them. Because deep down, they know they could never survive what you have. The world will try to beat you into submission. It will test you with loss, betrayal, loneliness. But the moment you realize that every hardship is just another weapon in your arsenal, you become unstoppable. This is why chosen ones always rise. You don't run from pain. You embrace it, you conquer it, and then you use it to build something even greater. But the real secret? Pain doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you untouchable. Because when you've already endured the worst, what else is there to fear? Nothing. And that's why those who try to break you always fail. But now, let's talk about the final and most powerful ability that truly separates you from the rest. Because this one, it changes everything. Number 5, the silent influence shifting reality. Without a word. The greatest power of the chosen ones isn't just in what they say or do, it's in what they are. You've probably noticed it. The way people react differently around you, the way they shift, the way they either respect you or resent you without even knowing why. That's not an accident. That's your presence working on a level they don't understand. When a chosen one walks into a room, the energy changes. You don't have to demand attention. It just happens. People feel it. Some are drawn to it. Others are threatened by it. But nobody ignores it. Why? Because when you master yourself, you master the world around you. This is why the chosen don't need to seek validation, to prove themselves, to beg for recognition. You already know who you are, and that certainty is more powerful than any words you could ever say. In a world full of people who pretend, who overcompensate, who seek approval like addicts, your silent confidence is like a force of nature. Think about the way leaders throughout history have commanded respect without ever raising their voices. It's not because they talked the loudest. It's because they knew who they were. They carried a presence so strong that people either followed them or feared them. And that's exactly what happens with you. The weak ones, the ones who thrive on drama, manipulation, and deception, can't stand being around you. They don't understand why they feel uneasy, why they can't control the situation when you're present. That's because your energy exposes everything. The real ones, they'll be drawn to you. The fake ones, they'll avoid you. Either way, your presence alone reveals the truth. This is what makes you untouchable. You don't have to argue, explain, or prove yourself. You just exist. And that's enough to make people either respect you or fear you. But one thing is certain, you will never be ignored. And that's why, at the end of the day, Being chosen isn't just about having supernatural abilities or being different. It's about becoming something greater than what this world expects. It's about stepping into your power fully, unapologetically, and without hesitation. Now you understand the truth. You were never like them. You never thought like them, never moved like them, never followed the paths they tried to force you down. And now you know why. You weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to rise above. You weren't designed to follow. You were born to lead. The world tried to break you, tried to make you doubt yourself, tried to convince you that your differences were weaknesses. But they were wrong. Every hardship, every betrayal, every moment of solitude, it wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every time you were cast out, every time you walked alone, you were being refined, sharpened, made into something unshakable. And now, the choice is yours. Will you step fully into your power? Will you embrace everything that makes you different, knowing that it is also what makes you unstoppable? Or will you shrink back, hide your gifts, and pretend to be like the 80% who never wake up? You already know the answer. Because if you've made it this far, if every word of this has hit something deep inside you, then you're already on the path. The only thing left to do is walk it. So prove it. Drop a 77 in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it, because this world isn't ready for who you're becoming, but you are. See you in the next one. Stay sharp.